1, 2, 3. Welcome to MECA. We've been open now, like officially, like what? 1 month and 2 days? 1 month and 4 days? I don't know, I forgot what day today. Oh, it's the 13th. That's right. So 1 month and 4 days. This has been a lot of fun and very exciting. Anyway, so I'm really happy to see you all here. We actually have some writers who are just getting off of work at 6 o'clock, so they will be joining us. We have more readers that will be joining, and more people will be attending. So you'll see people kind of stroll in and out. We're really loose. We're not too stressed out about this, so Mick is going to be your DJ host. I say DJ because if we have a lull, I mean not a dull moment, but a lull, he'll put on some music, not a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Anyway, so thank you all for joining us, and I will turn it over to Mick. And we've asked all of the writers to tell us a little something about them, and I will tell you that something about my husband is that he is a man of the world. He's lived in multiple countries and multiple cities, and Oregon is the longest place he has had the privilege to call home. So, right, 22 years?
Something like that.
Something like that. So anyway, to my husband, Mick.
So the reason I'm going first is that every poet that Holly talked to said, I don't want to go first. I'm not going first. And I'm really a lyricist and a songwriter, but every once in a while I dabble in poetry. This is a story about my father. It's called My Father the Killer. It sounds terrible, I know, but it gets better. Animals tremble in fear when my father appears, the dreaded duck hunter with his rifle in hand. Late into an afternoon of duck hunting, the skilled hunters row out to where the last duck has fallen full of buckshot. But the duck is not quite dead, so one of the brave souls smacks it in the head with a paddle and deposits it in a rowboat. Several minutes later, it's very apparent that the duck is revived. Quack, quack, quack. My mother answers the door of our very old farmhouse expecting the usual handful of ducks, held by their poor dead webbed feet. But not this time. My father the killer holds a small duck in his arms. Mary, I think something is wrong with his eye. Can you help him? He's hurt. Can you fix this? John, it looks like he has been shot and hit in the head. No wonder his eye isn't working. Are you serious? Yes, we need to help him. There is no vet in the child's Maine in 1960. My mother considers calling the local MD, but then remembers she apologetically consulted him on the dog's indigestion the week prior. Don't worry, he said, I just helped a fellow with a pig who had the postpartum blues yesterday. He was nice enough, but she had no idea how to explain why her husband now wanted to revive a duck he and his hunter friends had spent many hours trying to dispatch. So she picked up the duck and took it to the cellar, the dirt cellar under the house. The dirt cellar actually had a rivulet running under it, a lovely place for a duck. The cellar had been home the winter before to Oscar the sheep. When the temperature hit 25 below, my mother went to the lean-to that Oscar lived in and brought him into the house. We squealed with delight, Oscar, Oscar. She led him down the cellar steps, and there he lived happily with a running stream and food and happy children to visit him until the cold front passed. During all of this, there was a serious issue with the electrical fuse box, which was in the dirt cellar. An electrician friend who was very concerned about the fact that a light bulb and a toaster should be able to run at the same time came by to fix the problem. He headed down the stairs, and of course Oscar let out several loud sheep bleats, causing him to startle. He fell down the stairs. Oscar ran over to console him. He lived. Oscar lived. The duck? This time Mary the miracle worker could not. My dad also hunted deer. The last thing I remember hearing the night the duck died was this. John, please don't ever get a soft spot for a 6-point buck, okay? John? Okay, Mary, okay.
Oh my God. Marvelous.
So, up next we have Lynn. Lynn Otto. She's from Newburgh. She just had her first book published by Unicorn Press. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I asked someone, what do you feel like hearing? And she said something uplifting. So I will read some love poems. My book is about family relationships, about expectations and disappointments, but also love. Just a few love poems. I swear. Every night I need my eyelids kissed. They've worked so dang hard staying open all day. I swear my husband's lips are magic. His kiss is better than used tea bags, but during the day they're too far away, yapping about wampum, which he says is not Native American money, honey, but that's what everyone thinks anyway. In his pocket, a tiny clear plastic box holds all he has, 2 little tubes of white shell. I swear he dreams about those beads. One day I drove to his office with my eyes shut. They hurt so bad I swear I could only think of his lips, and his secretary said he was still in class. Until I asked her to take me there, I could tell she felt weird about holding my arm, and I heard those history students snicker when I said, honey, my eyes are so tired, I need your magic kisses. And he said, honey, maybe you need some new glasses, and kissed each eyelid just right. I swear if I could, I'd anoint him with wampum, pour over him handfuls and handfuls and handfuls. Okay, this next one is called French Kiss. It's rather intimate, but it's short.
That's a good combination.
Go ahead. I've left you a tiny tuna salad snack between my teeth. I know you prefer chocolate, but a girl can't live on it. I think about it when I read. You guys are in a fun mood. See if you don't mind. This one's not in the book. I wrote this. This is my eclipse poem. Do y'all write eclipse poems when we have that big eclipse?
No.
I wrote one. Eclipse. A rooster is mansplaining the morning. In a few hours he'll be confused when the moon upstages the sun, but he'll just repeat himself when the moon moves on. I don't like it, Rodney kept saying last Wednesday. It's not a poem. I mentioned Ronk's metaphors and her wave of W sounds, but Rodney insisted on dominating the discussion with his negativity. All the muscles between my shoulder blades were on notice, and the little room was getting hot. I suggested to Rodney he sit this one out. Let the rest of us discuss it, I said, and see what we find. Then Sam, the other guy in the room, said, I don't like it either. And I put the poem back in my folder, said, let's just move on. But Sam wasn't finished. If I have to look up something I don't understand, the poem is too pretentious. Rodney high-fived Sam and said, I just don't like it. It's just not a poem. All right. Thanks for not being offended, guys. Okay. Last poem, Yoked, another love poem. How is a yoke born? The ox and the ox. The farmer goads the one, and it walks, so both walk. The farmer taps the other, and it turns, so both turn. They can't turn away from each other. A husband and wife feel their marriage chafe. Always the other. Often not what they'd rather. The room too hot and too cold. The calendar cluttered, the accounts scrutinized, insufficient. Each body grows old. In the distance, other possible selves. Places they might have gone if. Behind the oxen, the earth opens and turns like fresh sheets turned back on the bed. They face only the hard ground ahead, yet they feel the resistance give. Imagine a crop there, thriving in perfect weather. It might or might not turn out like that. There are countless kinds of disaster. And the wife and the husband can turn away from each other. This yoke is not a wooden thing. Or they can turn toward each other and cling, as they do some nights when they're not too tired, to the solace of familiar skin. Your eyes, she might say again, are like Picasso eyes when we're this close, overlapping almond shapes, one slightly over the other. And he might again say, you are a strange thing, and stay there, his forehead touching hers. Thank you.
Michael Santone is here. He has come all the way from where?
4 blocks.
4 blocks? Okay.
I live about 4 blocks.
Okay, he came from 4 blocks away. You have to give this man credit. It's boring out there.
I walk.
He walked, and he walked. And
I'm a writer and a potter.
he's a writer. I've never been able to read Holli's writing, so.
That was my writing.
Oh, I've never been able to read Michael's writing either.
Oops, you better go apologize.
No, I'm not going to do it.
As he said, my name is Mike Santone. Some of you know me. I write poems, I write screenplays, short fiction, those kinds of things. We have a writers group, meets once a month at the library. And there's a young woman there who is working through her pain and her upbringing, and has been a poet a long time, since she was a child, and is gracing us with what she has to unburden herself with. And it got me to thinking about my own upbringing and how I was raised. So I'm going to read a couple poems that suggest how it is I was raised. On becoming a bird, once I said I wanted to be a bird, to fly, to sing. Flying would be great, riding the wind, being unbound by the ground. Then they said, you'll sleep standing up. Your feet will swell and hurt. Your lips will get hard and crusty. They had a point. As a bird, I'll fly. Luxurious plumage with vibrant colors, long graceful wings, an elegant tail and precious designs. I'd strut, I'd dance. They said, you'll either hop, scamper, or look confused. Worse, you'll be very unsexy when your feathers all fall out every year. They had a point. But as a bird, I'll be free. I'll fly. I'll sing a symphony of songs, songs of loneliness, of longing, songs of hello and goodbye, songs of love and joy. You'll be eating seeds, they said, or choking down bugs and eating worms. You'll twitch and you'll always be nervous about becoming cat food. And they had another point. I started keeping my wishing and my dreams to myself. Second poem, The Dance. And this is probably even closer to home in some ways. The evocative entropy of love songs on the jukebox of my childhood seeped deep into me. I felt its movement, its coming apart. I spent my childhood in an old tavern next to the Southern Pacific tracks. Every night the train went past. The tavern swayed with the rhythm of rail cars and country songs. I danced. I swayed with a pig's foot above my head like a club and a flower. After years, I understood why every adult sipping beer smiled at me and remembered someone from their past. The next one is about as political as I get. A couple, 3 years ago, I was having a lot of yard work and stuff done, and there were I had some Latinos, now probably running from ICE, but Latinos cleaning up. And one of them came over to me, and I'm a potter, and so I was out working with clay and stuff, and he came up and he said, he put his arm next to me, and our hands were together, and our skin is exactly the same pigment. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, my people are from Sicily." He said, "Is that near Nayarit?" Which is a town, or a state in Mexico. I said, no, man, that's in southern Italy." "Oh," he said, "well, you sure?" I said, yeah, I'm sure. That's, my folks came over a long time ago. But anyway, 2 weeks ago, I had to get my driver's license renewed. When you're 75, you have to get the eye check and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So this is I do a lot of haiku, and this is a haiku. Driver's license office, wide linoleum, fluorescent lights, worried brown eyes. Thanks.
Holly, you may have missed the part where I said, I screwed up Michael's thing, and I said, I've never been able to read Holly's handwriting anyway, and he said, well, that's my handwriting. So you're both in the same boat with me.
Excellent news.
So now we have Strand.
Yay.
Tor has come all this way from Alaska, where he has walked on glaciers. So be careful of this man. He also rode his bike with his friend in the driving rain to get here, so fearless.
So I'm going to read 3 poems. This first poem is, as Mick said, I'm from Alaska, and so I was up there this winter. And so this first poem is about that and being back in the darkness, and just a scene that I observed. So this is called This November. Crows, dark as empty bedrooms, suspend on wires, survey what once was theirs. Ice, become gravel, rubber, water, war, what melts remains melt. It is 40 degrees and raining whatever slush is. We grip routine with salt, strange sands, fight for deletion. Create a thing as steel, take words like light bulb, forget where they go. I remember counting cribbage pegs, Grandpa saying he'd take the points I missed if we were in Korea. I remember as much as I forget, like the ground beneath a spruce tree. When did observation become something of pain? I've heard the earth has a perfect record against its species. I've heard what we cannot see is waiting until we're gone, and wires fall out our ears, cups and straws, shit and blood. I've heard these things, and I believe them. It is raining this November. It is 40 degrees, and I am cold in rain that should be snow. I believe them. Driving home, in winter done, what else to see but the hard road wet with police light? We come from the grid, small, shimmering, of the world. Ahead, a flip truck in the median, between directions, so far from words, the birds V out the ocean. The response again in the marsh, all in pairs. The second one's not as heart-wrenching. I've been traveling since I went to Linfield, and I've kind of just been on the road since then a little bit. And I was in Montana recently, and staying with a friend's at a place, and she said, we were talking about fruit at breakfast, and she said she likes plums, but she only likes plums off the plum tree. And I liked that line, so that's where this poem started. It's called Our Impulse Hearts. She likes plums off the plum tree, picks them from atop the roof. We all do. Friends leaning over a death full of lavender light. The darker nettles below, turning, looping. She likes plums off the plum tree, and who wouldn't want the world to lift out of vacancy? Why plums become plums is boundless, a nourishment. How your eyes become the dim glow of evening. How, when picking blackberries, purple clings to everything. The late, early hours between us and each day, wet like your lower lip, like the dewy apple tree in my grandmother's backyard, approaching 70 years alive, its trunks and limbs now covered in moss. Just in this past decade, my grandma explains, with a lick of time I cannot yet comprehend. Time made of Gravensteins, bodies of pie and jam, sugar gold sauce, silly dreams. God, the moon rose in the Mojave like a fall leaf. I hear that the currency of trees transmutes through electric pulses, slow ones, nowhere near the speed of our impulse hearts, and I feel calm. She likes plums off the plum tree, and who wouldn't? Okay, so this last one is a little longer. It's also about kind of driving. I drove from Montana back up to Anchorage, and so it was really smoky. I went kind of late in the summer, and just kind of a lot of all that ash and smoke in the air, and so that and memories of friends from college and things like that is what made this one. It's called Between Blue and Ultraviolet. Our souls are the lifeblood of old senses, drilling like the beak of the northern flicker and past love. The walk of each day sewn into us with what we know, light, yes, and child-drawn clouds, the thorns of a gooseberry bush, but also what we do not know, what we cannot know. Driving north in Canada in the set smoke of fire season, trees become charred stilts, black as scabbard fish, and I am lost. But even here, in a red disk of sun, up comes a chorus of fireweed, the primary maker of true north honey, and what always returns first, through fresh ash. I dream us back together under an undersphere aura of oak, your breath breathing it away, like my vision failing now at a mountain base. Spruce look more like shrubs, the alders all branch together, auburn and darker. These memories do not fail. This heart pumps blue and slippery. In the evening, we walk to the grocery store to buy ice cream and something to drink, your body a conifer cone falling in quiet distance, an evaporation of words. We sat in the back of my car looking at nothing, our feet going numb above the ground, the warm breeze moving the world closer and further and in circles. The arc of your eye contains the green and gone leaf, the sharp and brittle needle. This year the moon was full on our winter solstice. We call it cold moon, and it won't happen again for 76 years. On that evening of caramel-filled ice cream, the sun dripped in the field of fall grass, and I fell too. I miss you, and wonder why we are winged on affirmation, unsubstanced, shrill. I do not know how to leave this body. Still, I know your warmth, a small fire, a clear and beat-found heart full of untold elegies, purpled yams and earthworm renewals. You move on and in glassy looks of ocean, songs sung and listened to. You are a chance of black sand, a sweet throw of time, up and blooming. Thank you.
This name doesn't sound familiar, Holly. Nadya King?
Who is that?
Oh, right.
Oh, there she is.
Aren't you funny, Kenny?
Is it also hard to read?
Wait a minute. I missed something here, did I? I washed about 1,000 dishes.
In a
In a fishing camp in
In
Alaska?
Alaska.
You should
Who
talk.
knew?
Did you walk on a glacier?
I did not walk. I walked on tundra, but not on a glacier.
Close enough.
I walked on.
So this one's about a visit to a friend who was in assisted living. I visited my friend Patty, Mrs. Blue, still at her cosmic address, but wandering in the halls of her mind. How did you find me? Bright-eyed, curious, trying to place me and herself. Her daughter Terry, my daughter. Sorry. My daughter, she's a good person, so busy. Yes, good people, her kin, her family, her children and grandchildren. The question cycled through, how did you find me? Am I lost, found, discovered? Families scattered to the ends of the world, gathering in eddies and currents. How does she know me? Through a circle, studying spirit, perhaps 15 years ago at first. Yes, the circle. Lost, found, connected, still connected through a winding thread. Star spun. We come from the stars, time before time, dancing, singing, spiraling sparks of endless light. Time before time, we scattered across the universe, sparks of endless light, falling onto uncharted shores, scattered across the universe, beyond the 7 seas, falling onto uncharted shores, we danced and sang. Beyond the 7 seas, we pressed our hands on cave walls, danced and sang under star-studded skies. We pressed our hands on cave walls and held each other under star-studded skies, wondering who and what lies beyond. We held each other by the river flowing east of Eden, wondering who and what lies beyond, crossing down the sussing sea. By the river flowing east of Eden, dancing, singing, spiraling, crossing down to the sussing sea, we return to the stars. And the last one is Sacred Compass. In the space between spaces, we enter the inner temple, light the candles, fill the chalice of the soul. Entering the inner temple, we pay homage to the sacred, fill the chalice of the soul with the waters of renewal. We pay homage to the sacred, flying with the soul bird through the cosmos, baptized in the waters of renewal, finding our sacred compass. Flying along the cosmic soul path, lighting candles on the altar, we find our sacred compass in the space between the spaces.
Falling down on the job here. I'm going to say Jim Mayer.
Okay.
Jim is a retired reporter and father of triplets. He worked for the Oregonian for how many years?
35.
35 years.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know he's got some guts. Alright, so figure out how to do this. Here we go.
So, I've been a musician since high school, and so some of these are song lyrics, some are not. You can tell the ones that are song lyrics because they tend to rhyme. But this first one is just a regular poem. Sick-looking plants sulk in the corner by the register. Bowls of sad chili lose their heat under the heat lamp. Tattooed teenagers buy milkshakes to go with sagging pockets full of pennies. Senior citizens cheat death buying tomorrow's newspaper. $25 burn a hole in my wallet. I light another Lotar, waiting for my connection. I used to smoke. This is a song called The Maze. I foresee cliff-dwelling days, living on the edge of a razor blade, drifting downtown from the uptown trade, free to wander in the aimless maze. My flood relief friends did their best the day the dam let the river flow. We drank from the right to know, but the water in the maze was only a test. So when my book comes out in New York City, maybe they'll say it's so sweet, so gritty, or how can he move through the maze so fast? I love the maze, it's amazing me now. It brought me to you, I'll never know how. Thank you. Hotel Sleazy. Baby, I think you're gonna find this life of mine's going to bring you down. Waiting and waiting for that one big break to come around. Playing in hippie bars on the roadsides for nickels and smiles. You're gonna wake up someday to find yourself just a name in one of my files. I'm just warning you, it's not going to be easy. Too many sleepless nights in the Hotel Sleazy. I'm just telling you, before it's too late, the line of broken promises is so long and so straight. I used to be as romantic as you before the first time I fell in love. Since then, I don't know what anyone else is thinking of, but you can come and be with me. I won't try to keep you away. But I can't promise you my life. It's been years since I gave it away. I'm just warning you, it's not going to be easy. Too many sleepless nights in the Hotel Sleazy. I want to get it straight ahead of time. It's a long, hard wait to the head of the line. One more. I think you're going to find this life of mine's going to bring you down. Smoking in those little rooms, forgetting you just to hear that sound. I'm just warning you, it's not going to be easy. Too many sleepless nights in the Hotel Sleazy. Will you be hurt? Do you think it's wrong to be without a name in a nameless song? Okay, let's see which ones I want to do. Waiting for the climax. Lying in a hot bath like a frog in the tropics. I can talk of lost love and lost socks in the same breath. Equality among topics, beyond understanding, just waiting for the climax. Lost in the floating world like the Japanese. I don't worry about coming up short. Always polite, easy to please. Beyond appeasement, waiting for the climax. Dressing for the weather in fear of the climate. I see through the eyes of a hurricane. The quick freeze of fate, the sudden downpour of pain. Beyond disappointment, still waiting for the climax. Let's see. I think I like this one. Romance. Romance is like a car with a dead battery. Every once in a while you go outside and try to start it, knowing damn well that it won't. But still thinking that maybe in the night a freak lightning storm reanimated it. But not this time. Okay, I got one. I got a couple more. That's okay. The fall, this is called the fall of the age of cool. Cool is not caring what other people think. Hot is other people caring what you think. Cool is taking it, hot is making it. Cool is driving with nowhere to go. Hot is walking into the unknown. Cool is talking politics. Hot is being politics. Cool is safety. Hot is change. And I got one more that I want to read because I used to work at Jake's Famous Crawfish in downtown Portland. And I would periodically fall in love with the cocktail waitresses. And so this is about that. It's called White Wine, January 1973. In your job at the Smile Plant, while men plant money in the hand, your face flashes signs to me, lines to see that I can't understand. Passers through, snapshots win, slapstick friends fall over themselves for you. You drink it in with eyes like funnels, flies in the tunnels, you know I'm not passing through. This could be the first of many songs. The list is miles long of starts and empty pages. Or it could be the first and the last, never stepping past all the others in the cages. Okay, that's good enough.
Okay, so this is Charlie Price. Would you say, Joan, would you say he's famous or infamous? He's got a wonderful partner who paints amazing things which are available to see right here in this gallery. So, and Charlie's a mystery writer. I know that. Is that correct? Or just a writer, period?
Any kind of writer.
He's any kind of writer. Have you walked on glaciers?
I have not.
You're still head of the class on the glaciers.
Thank you, Charlie. Hi.
Hello.
I'm grateful to MECA for this opportunity. I love it that this is becoming a venue that we can all get together and celebrate an evening. Forgive me, I've been thinking about death a lot. I lost a very close friend recently, and for years I've been working on a poem that continues to change as I think about the topic. And I'm realizing that when I think about death, one of the images that comes to mind is wind. And I think that's because it can be so devastating, and yet it brings with it something fresh. Anyway, this is called The Traveler. What if death were only a corner turned, a fellow traveler gone from sight, though still on this same journey? And while our eyes stayed the horizon, the true destination lay far beyond, where no distinction lives between the shadow and the self. If time were a casual deceit, and the fabric of our lives wrinkled, not smooth and flat against the board, we would mistake proximity for meaning. Our histories warp, our memories weft, our aging naught but wear from fiction, our childhood merely fresher skein, grief and loss, the color and heft we experience without noddings of guilt, emotion, the texture of our wool, and nothing more. Would the traveler see our wave, scent our tears, or would he remain heedless, beyond ken, while the folds of our tapestry were rearranged by the winds of his departure?
Whoa.
There's another study on the same theme. This is called Petra. I wish now we had married 18 years together and what is left of substance. Our daughter living in Mozambique. Did we drive her to such distance? Did I? Was I too critical? Too rigid? Too intrusive? I worked. I meant well. I was busy. I cannot locate myself on any continuum. And Petra? I sift through the clutter of memories, her wrists, transparent skin, porcelain bone, her auburn fragrances of plum and vanilla, her shoes, collected treasures, leathering each mood. Her work, large canvases, thick colors, proper brick galleries. Her pleasures, yoga, scented baths, incense, and historical novels. Her opinions, strident, startling for someone so petite. She loved hyacinths. I remembered that. They were hard to find for the funeral. I was horrified by her wish for cremation. I cannot bear to scatter her, lose her to the wind.
Make one little adjustment here. She's a very tall man.
Perfect. Thank you. It's called Love Sing. Let's say tomorrow up is down, the sky the ground, and out is in, and daylight dark, and silence but another sound. Let's posit nothing can be what it seems. All drama, merely noise and bluster. All waking, merely stuff of dreams. What then would serve me for an anchor, for a compass, for a beacon? Where would I turn to touch foundation? Where for solace when I waken? I know no comfort from a God and no direction from a star. I find myself in times of chaos reaching out toward where you are. I locate breath beside your breathing, your voice, the sound I search to hear. Your eyes, the dance that lights my passage. Your laughter, soothing me to cheer. I pray to show you how I love you, to show you fully that today, if all the world were torn asunder, all the substance washed away, a core of meaning would continue, a central fact would yet remain. I love you wholly and forever, evermore, and then again. This last one, Joni and I were in, we love movies. And we were in a movie line and talking like you do. And behind me, I heard a guy say, I wrote a killer poem today. And I turned around just enough to see that he was talking with his girlfriend. But as we went on into the movie, the line, that image stuck with me. I wrote a killer poem today. I couldn't get it out of my mind, so a killer poem.
What is it?
I wrote a killer poem today. My opening enfilade scattered a pompous conundrum of confabulatory neologisms through a wretched lingual infantry begging for etymologists' armor. Next, I cut loose with bursts of alliteration, firing P's and B's at will into a convoluted sentence already dense with fricatives. In the following couplet, I lay a cloud of toxic simile, including slunk like a sinner, which would leave even the most tenacious reader gasping for breath. But pressing my advantage, I pulled the pin on a concussive metaphor and heaved it into the next stanza, making life into an abattoir. I could not resist a final salvo of lethal visual artillery substituting graphic images for the words wreath and tombstone. And now, the smoking ruins, the tattered flag of verse, the lettered field of mayhem. Even reading this, as you've probably realized, can be somewhat injurious.
Holly?
Crew.
Is it still the right? Holly's gone. I knew she'd leave me one day.
Oh, why today?
Exactly, when I need her most. I believe we have Mike Hall.
Not here yet.
Not here yet. Well, okay. How about Adam? He did it right this time. All right. Your handwriting, Michael's, and Holly's. Unpresence,
Yeah. Oh, this is just a line from...
a constant state.
Well,
in details.
Are hunted.
Are hunted. Okay, be prepared. One other thing, Adam has a lot of his paintings here, and they're absolutely beautiful. So,
Anyway, I printed some of my poems and they're close to the door, and it's like 7 of them on both sides. If anyone want to take, you are welcome. So you can guess I'm not a native speaker, so my accent is pretty heavy, and I can promise you that I will make you sad and heavy. Anyway, I prepare like also some other poets, that I like. But I was thinking, everybody reads own poetry, so I will start from the poems that I use for my installation, with small explanations. And there was last fall, I know probably few people saw the installation, yeah. Yes. And there was of course, with this poetry that I display in black light, I had a certain thought, certain project behind, certain understanding I try to infuse into the whole thing. And so one side of the installation was about straight to say human love, and then evolution goes to this self-discovery or universal love. And the same was with the poems. And so the first one, the first poem was written when I came back to Poland to stay with my mother. She was pretty sick, and she was often in hospitals. And there was this mood, and the poem just came out of me. And on the surface sounds pretty sad, but I would say it's pretty affirmative for me. So the title is At the Edges of Days.
One more time.
At the edges of days.
Okay.
At the edges of days, I think of you. In spaces of solitude, like from Edward Hopper. What one does remember when one is dead, or let's say even now, if not only the sky at the dusk and the ocean horizon line, and presence, a constant state when details are hunted with the precision of a hidden thought. Nothing can get unnoticed by a traveler who has no place of destiny nor desire to live. Strings of sunlight on someone's hand with a glass of water and unnamed face. An illusion is dancing again on thirsty waves. Who whispers somebody great passed away? And who is the one left? Yes, that's true. I lost the meaning and the will to search for the sense. Thank you. So, of course, I have to come back and 2 years later my mother passed away, this is another poem that somehow is connected with her passing away. One thing that was interesting that to make the story, she called me like on Saturday, we talked, and then on Wednesday she passed away. And then she sent a package to me that I got after I came back from her funeral. And in the package was sort of black suit for the funeral. To make it more fun, you know, she was telling me a long time ago that knowing me, she knows that I will be late on her funeral, and I was. The airplane stuck in Chicago, so I was running around the cemetery around like midnight by myself, looking for the most flowery grave. But anyway, in that package was also a CD that she sent to me with jazz music by Tomasz Stańko, Polish trumpet player. He was a genius, really. And it's like the title of the record was Soul of Thanks. And it's really very beautiful. And you know, like jazz, I think it's like the biggest donation of American culture to the global culture and global community, because you know every culture is taking jazz and weaving on tradition of sounds or folk music or whatever. And this Soul of Thanks is really like very jazzy and very Polish in some sense. And he put some songs that Poles understand immediately, you know, some like tunes. Anyway, and this poem came to me in Portland, when I was living in Portland, after, you know, like when somebody passed away. I also lost just recently one really good friends. And one of them is Carola Penn. She was a great painter in Portland, and you can find an article about her. She just died a week ago, 10 days ago, and you can find an article in Artwatch. And her last show was mind-blowing in Portland, in that first church across the art museum. So you who are reading here, be patient, reading this angel's call, please, and try again. Focus on the poems, here and now, thought flow. Well, now we proceed. Do you remember when you see the music in the shapes of things swimming through the evening window slides of, let's say, some downtown, or for example, Hawthorne Street, full of faces, clouds, which are passing you by, like some sort of strange butterflies. You feel your breath, your feet are touching the ground, one by one. Your head, your eyes, your hands are moving slowly, In the summer evening cold, your soul is descending down, 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 into soul of thanks, and there is light. Are you a little bit surprised? I'm asking you a question, please. Do you read? Do you see what I am asking you about? It's not a joke, it's not a poem or something dumb. I'm really asking you the question. You follow me? Are you a little bit surprised? Thank you. Now, this title is the Gambara. You can Google. Now we can Google everything. And ourselves out of existence. Anyway, I was thinking this poem came to me when I was living in southern France. I have a project there with my friend that we are working for 20 years or more on it. It's just beautiful. And I deal with sort of what psychology would call altered state of consciousness, but this guy Stanislav Grof, the psychiatrist, from Czech Republic, but he lives in States, of course. He is looking for a better description of that, and he come out and he's not happy with that, with non-ordinary states of consciousness, okay? Because this is a thing in our culture that we very often dismiss, or we treat people with something that we have no idea of. And also and also I think that it's always is good time for a little bit deeper self-inquiry, and we become so technical and rational in some sense. And very often, when I have a possibility to talk to people, I am saying that. Very often people think if you will say, I had mystical experience or whatever, so the first thing, maybe you have schizophrenia, okay? Or if you will say, okay, I am a mystic, it's kind of, maybe you could say I am irrational. Mysticism is against rationality or something like that. Anyway, Stanislav Grof has lots of fun anecdotes about that, even with Notre Dame in Paris. During our Western mind revolution, they changed the name into the Temple of Reason or whatever. We prize so much intellect that we forgot, that is just only a fraction. So, with this installation and with the poetry, very often I deal with these non-ordinary states of consciousness, and I believe most people go through it. Some are more aware, some less, Eastern philosophy developed really beautiful vocabulary, language, terminology, but also, they share in plenty of ways. Western too, in Christianity you have also some crumbs of that, And the Gambara is, basically it came in France to me. And it's kind of a big laugh out of myself. Anytime something like that happens, like with performance, sometimes people, do great performance, they feel free of themselves, and then at the end, ego comes back and takes the full load. So, the Gambara, I'm in love with you. Looking at the fools in me, asking for the way, asking who I am, How did you create the fool in me? An arrogant, educated man who thinks he can catch the wind in his hand, who laughs at the peasant, thinking that the earth is flat, our beautiful globe, planet circling around the star in the Milky Way, a razor's edge, totally in starry dust. Totally in starry dust. What did you do to make me smile? I have no questions, I have no doubts. I am still, I am looking at the stars. I am looking at your smile. I am in love with you, who clothed me in space, in sky. Digambara, the naked one, Noli me tangere, appearance does not touch, and even now is not one. Like, if you are interested, anyone who is interested in like some explanation, whatever, I can talk after. I don't want like take too much of your time. And this is the last poem from that Theory of Nothing, from that installation, and was the closest to the, I can call it like altar or whatever. And it came to me after like really high flying and being surprised with things that are happening and the way you can sometimes perceive reality. And I'm not talking about ayahuasca or, you know, like joint or whatever, you know, these things can happen spontaneously. So this title is The Big Blue. By the way, there is a good movie by Luc Besson, Big Blue, that is really cool, this new French school. Of the light, I see you. Of the light, I see you, like the ocean, infinitely beautiful in all objects, reappearing out of non-being and deep, painting pictures of life with the lightness of a fulfilled promise, the quickness of a bypassing glance, the subtlety of a word just not whispered, and this whole illusion of reality, inexplicably, everything is you, present in nothingness, words like schools of fish wander your boundlessness, leaving no trace on your immaculacy of non-existence in everlastingly existing. Affirmation and negation are meeting in your picture of eternal silence. Your tranquility is a state of bliss. Since Holli gave me plenty of time, I can share a few more. And one thing, you know, I prepared like William Stafford. I was thinking that his son will be here, Kim Stafford. And I met him in 2008 in Astoria, and this guy just blew my mind completely. There was like 100 people or something. And he was telling like a long tale. And I tell you, it was like pin drop, silence. And I was totally mesmerized. I lost like sense of body, whatever, you know. It was totally there. He could paint with his words. And then after that, he of course recognized that my accent is kind of twisted, so he asked where I am from. And I said from Poland, and he told me beautiful story about how he met totally accidentally Czesław Miłosz, Polish poet that was teaching at Berkeley. And that was another blow to my mind. So when I left that evening, I was like a baby. And I tell you that sometimes there are these aesthetic experiences, you know, like with him for sure, it was so clear to me that there is something more to life than just cars. But one thing I remember when I went for Sankaijuku, this is Japanese Buto Theater in Eugene. I don't remember, it was 90, maybe 7 or something. And I tell you, the whole show with this Buto Theater, Sankaijuku, was like my mind tried to make a sense, you know, make a story or whatever, and was like my all intellectual muscles were like, and I couldn't understand anything. And after a while, my mind just dropped, okay? And then I was part of that dream that they were unfolding to me. And after the whole show with the soundtrack and everything, I tell you, there was like long time silence, no applause, nothing. Everybody was like, boom. And I remember when I left, my mind stopped functioning, okay? I mean, there are only a few cases when it doesn't, when you fall in love. For sure it doesn't function. But you know, this was this aesthetic kind of experience. Anyway, this is thing I want to tell you. It came to me in 2001 when I was living Michigan, and I was going by train to Oregon. And it was like the beginning of August, and we had this anniversary of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki thing. And there was a haiku. There was a haiku by Busho, you know. This is 17th century Japanese poet. And what was interesting about this haiku, that it really inspired, I mean, I started thinking about that, and it inspired me with this poem that Kimi Hiyotake. And I will read in Japanese. It's not probably Japanese because I read to Japanese, but he said, oh, this is something very old or whatever. But in Japanese it goes this Busho haiku. Kimi Hiyotake, Yokimono Misen, Yukimaroge. And you translate it, will you start a fire? I'll show you something nice, a huge snowball. And that was written as he said, a man named Sora has his temporary residence near my hut. So I often drop in at his place and he at mine. When I cook something to eat, he helps to feed the fire. And when I make tea at night, he comes over for company. A quiet, leisurely person, he has come a most congenial friend of mine. One evening after a snowfall, he dropped in for a visit, whereupon I composed a haiku, and this was the haiku. And then this inspired me because it was really hot. I was going through North Dakota, you know, whatever, and then it came to me, this Kimi Hiyotake. People are saying from ancient times that's possible to know. Isn't it true? Gazing over the shore of existence, they ask again about the same, choosing words so carefully, as if they fold together an origami paper crane under memorial of Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
So Holli has been kind of going back and forth about whether she wants to read or not. And she came to me a few minutes ago and said, I do want to read this poem. I have no idea which poem it is, but it is something that she wrote. So we'll see. You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Holli hails from McMinnville, Oregon.
Of course.
I hail, that's right. So just a little tiny thing about me is that when I was from 14 to 17, I lived in Northern California with no running water, no electricity, and I built my own house, and I milked my own goats, and raised chickens, which I still raise chickens, actually. Or they raised me, that's right. Pets with benefits. Okay, so this poem, Mick and I, this poem's about Mick, actually. It's about Mick, and we actually dated back in the early 80s in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then we went our separate ways and got separate marriages and all that kind of stuff and lost track of each other for 15 years. And we rediscovered each other. And this is about us coming back together again. So it's called You Are Here. I'm a little nervous, but anyway. Okay, the light wakes me, the purr of a cat by my side. My head spins in thoughts of the day before, the day to come. I hear you breathing beside me, the smell of your sweet skin. I can't believe that you are here. The warmth of the coffee brewing floats up the stairs. Letting the cats in the outdoor, I think of all that you have said. Work sifting in, dawn breaking, emails, calls, keys clicking. I can't believe that I'm here. You come down the stairs, sleep in your eyes, a smile that warms me, and a greeting of love. I can't believe that you are here. You gather your thoughts, my head spinning for some time now. I come to you in the morning light of the porch. You smile like you have missed me so long. And you ask me if I want to hear a poem. I can't believe that we are here. You read to me in your voice that calms me, the thoughts and words floating from your mouth, the sweetest mouth I have ever known. And you soothe me with words of flowers, love, lines, heart of calm. I can't believe that you are really here. Okay, here, you take it.
That was lovely, Holli from McMinnville. So Stephen is a writer, a poet, a manager of Habitat, and that's how we know him.
Wait, don't forget
for the most part.
the TV show he runs.
Oh, and, yeah. Name please.
The Writing Life.
The Writing Life.
Yeah. Just a man of all races.
He's a Steve of all trades.
So Steve, what are you going to do when you grow up?
I'm working on that. She produces the show, and she always has to hook my mic on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Walk away.
So I was thinking, you may judge the strength of these poems because they're short. This poem was just recently accepted for Paper Gardens publication. It was inspired by two things. One, the novel Water for Elephants. Everybody know that? So then I won't, you know what it is, so I won't go any farther. And the other is that aroma or scent is such a memory trigger. And the name of this is Lilac. Sometimes the last one to check my IV at night forgets to shut the window, so that in the morning, before the first one comes to feed and bathe me, the scent of lilac lays about my bed. In that moment, who knows the duration of a moment? My hope is for hours, though days would be better. I am again a boy, and the lilac I smell is the pale lavender one at the corner of the church. Before I can remember otherwise, it is May, and I recall Erin, whom I knew not well, but only as the girl sitting under the KK of the alphabet border, and who ran in a yellow dress on the asphalt behind our school playing Red Rover, laughing bright as sparks from a stirred fire, with other children, not me, because, as my mother used to say, she didn't know me from a hill of beans. Inspired by Holli. this is for my wife. And I took a little bit of a poetry class one time, and the instructor was talking about court reporting poems, and that is, this is what happened. And the name is How Nice. How nice to lie on a Sunday, curled against your body, flannel sheets, soft, rain hissing beyond the window. How nice in the dark, the day yet to wake, and no plans other than you. So one of my favorite poets is Ted Kooser. He was poet laureate of Kansas, and he wrote a poem called Pocket Poem, and I read this book and I thought, shoot, I can do that. Something like that. So, and all right, so the name of this is When I Write to You. When I write to you, the words are disjointed, as if scattered by the wind of my longing. The text is from notes I take while we're apart. I saw, did you know? It was beautiful here today. It was cold. When I write to you, the complimentary close is out of sequence. I put your name last so that it nestles into my signature, spoon-like, content, waiting. This, I was thinking about a friend of mine, and we had run into each other or met again after quite some time. A little bit of an exaggeration here, but in fact, Mike and I were just talking about how the years slip by and you sort of change your appearance. The name of this is Reunion. Without the salute, I wouldn't have known him. His teeth have become little yellow corn kernels, worn small over the years, hardly large enough now to chew. Small, too, are his steps as he comes to embrace me. But over dinner, I remember his voice, its pitch and its cadence. I sit across the table, enduring the strength of his opinions, drinking his pretty good wine, as he recalls episodes I already know, because I was there too. The hour grows late, but he has more stories to tell. So we linger, my friend and me. I guess I think about things that are heavy-ish, relationships and so on. And I was reading poetry that's just lighter, just more fun. And I thought, I need to write something that's not serious. So this is Last Night's Onion. Last Night's Onion was probably a Walla Walla, though, like a mail-order bride, might have flown in from Georgia. Exhausted by the journey, she dozed on a bed of rice, curling lifelike, translucent, yielding, sweet, around her porky husband. And yet this morning, left over, but with no hint of shame, I discovered her snuggled against eggs and a muffin, once again perfectly demure. I think I wrote this because I wanted to use a particular image, and I've thought of the moon, the crescent moon, as a cashew, and I think that's where this came from. Hey moon, methinks old Will had it right about you being inconstant, but not the lover's part, oh no. For me, you are the edible moon, a smorgasbord of tastes. There's the cheese notion, of course, though I don't see that one so much myself. Well, maybe a little Swiss. Instead, you've always been a cashew, arced and toasted at sunset, cooling white by midnight. 2 weeks later, a full ripe peach, orange, pink, juicy. On cold, clear nights, a snow cone or a frozen pizza, a canapé. So while you may be changeable, old friend, I'm always the same. Hungry. And that's it.
Actually, I think I brought one more, if you can stand it.
Oh, no, I can't.
Oh, no.
We have one person before you, and then we'd love to have you come back. So by popular request, Mr. Charlie Price will come back and read us one more poem. Now we know he really just wanted to sing a song.
No, it's an aging mind.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
I'll ask for your forgiveness in advance, but listening to you all tonight reminded me of this song. Partly because one of the things I love about the imaginative spirit is that it comes unbidden. We don't get to control it. We get to visit it or occupy it. And this particular piece is about my wife and came in a dream. So, priority of power, synthesis of the truth, that's the province of legerdemain. And I'll go to a white witch to get me the right pitch to get you back home again. 'Cause you're Phi Beta Kappa, you're summa cum laude, you're the ace of my heart's suit of cards. You're more than a pleasure and most of my treasure, and you win all my body's awards. When I woke up Monday, I thought that on Sunday you'd come back and wish me hello. But I didn't gather that you would rather be mousing with Kid Mexico. So what if he's Latin, his skin like brown satin, his eyes deep mysterious pools? So he's an attorney with his own firm on Kearney and a leading collector of jewels. You know I'm not jealous of most of your fellas. You know you've got freedom to burn. So get it in gear, babe, 'cause I miss you near, babe, and I've had my lesson to learn. 'Cause she's Phi Beta Kappa, she's summa cum laude, she's the ace of my heart's suit of cards.
He's a poet and he sings a cappella. So I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, everyone. It was...
Hey, can I say something?
No.
Yes, of course you
Well,
can.
screw you.
And she said it.
No, this is awesome. I can't thank you enough
Yeah. No.
for doing this.
We can't thank you guys enough. I mean, really, this is wonderful, and we want to keep this going. We want to keep this energy with all the arts. It's not just about 2D art. It's about poetry. It's about music. All of it. Writing. This is going to be the place where it happens. And pretty soon we're going to buy that building across the way, and we'll do that too. They don't know it yet.
He's dreaming.
I'm dreaming.
We don't know it yet either.
Rock concerts over there.